Hey everyone, I hope you're all doing well. Today I want to talk about the trend of artificial intelligence, AI, in the Twitterverse. AI is a hot topic across the board. We're all hearing about it or watching some video about it every now and then. So it makes sense it's going to make its way into the Twitterverse because Twitters very closely mirror the world we live in. We've already had the Sandbox this year by Brian Andrews and Jeffrey Wilson, and they make a very fun twist on the serial killer genre, where the killer this time may or may not be an AI entity. So that was quite ingenious. AI is also going to be featuring very heavily in the upcoming Grey Man thriller, The Chaos Agent. And well, I had the pleasure of reading an advanced copy, so I'll leave you with two things for it. It's quite action packed, so it's not going to disappoint. And the cliffhanger is going to make the wait for the next Grey Man book really, really hard. It's worth the torture, but it's torture nonetheless. At the same time, so what the trend I noticed in these two books, it was more of AI being a militarized threat against the heroes. So taking the form of drones, killer robots. It makes sense if you're gonna want to have this in an action environment and that with the shootouts and combat sequences. And yet at the same time, I also read another book. It's called Artificial Wisdom by Thomas Fever. It came out this year as well. And in it, he basically, I'm not going to give away the entire story, but there is an AI in it, which is a politician, and it's being democratically elected by humanity to save it from climate change. It's a lot to take in, but it's even scarier when you do, because the way Weaver mentions it in the story, how he gives the AI a sort of very creepy personality, where at the same time it's kind of warm, so you don't know whether to be paranoid or whether to just accept. But it plays on this very vital thing that I started to think about. I wanted to see more of this blend of action and cerebral threats that AI poses. For me, the greatest thing that I could see heroes going up against is disinformation. Well, killer robots, yes, but disinformation even more so, because how do you fight something that you can't even trust it's there? How do you know something if you can't believe what you're reading, what you're seeing, what you're hearing? So it makes for a conundrum that's, I think, perfect for spy thrillers, because it pays to be paranoid in spy thrillers. You don't know who to trust, you don't know what to trust. So if we read something like that in a spy thriller, I started thinking I would really love to see that. And actually, that got me thinking back to 2018 when I read a series of books. It was called the Shatterhand Code series by an Australian author, Aidan Bailey. And in that, again, I'm not going to spoil it because you're going to want to read it. It has a lot of action. That's true. Yet at the same time, it gives a very, very scary portrayal of AI manipulating humans like chess pawns, where we readers are along for the ride with the characters, and until the end, we don't know what the end game is. So it's very, we take it for granted, but it's very hard to get a book, especially if you've read so many thrillers. It's very hard to get a book where you're completely caught off guard by what happens at the end. And even then, I really was caught off guard by, and if I read it today, I'd still be caught off guard. So that really got me thinking even further about, that's the kind of book I would like to see in the modern thrillerverse, especially after everything we know about the GPT models, everything we've read about where AI is going now. So it doesn't feel like fantasy; it feels more like reality. So to boil it all down, And that's going to be my question to you as well. What kind of stories would you prefer being told in the Thrillerverse that heavily feature AI? Do you want it to be a tool of the bad guys? Do you want it to have something of its own persona, something that feels real, something that feels alive? Because again, there's so many debates to be had. There's a plethora of stories that can be told just through the ideas I've mentioned right now, and they've already covered. Yet there's so much that can be, just even a few tweaks here and there can lead to completely different stories, because it's such a new concept. So you know mine. I would prefer it to be something of, let's say, a spy story where the spy is going across the world following some breadcrumbs or investigation without even knowing that an AI could be manipulating every single move, every single piece of evidence that the spy comes across. I'll be able to know it until the very end. So, yeah, that's something I would like to see. And then, of course, throwing in some killer robots would be fun at the end. So, that's my take on it. And I'm very curious to know what you would like to see in a thriller that features AI. Till next time, I hope you all take care and stay safe.